Everybody has their own definition of success. Whatever defines your term of success, you have to be able to work towards that direction.
Meet Marc, a licensed architect based in the Philippines. Right after university, he deferred taking the architecture licensure exams to pursue his passion for photography. Today, he shares the feeling of being left behind, the strategies he used to top the board exams, and why he believes more people should pursue their passion. In a previous video, Marc shares how photography became his second profession, so do check that out as well. For those new, my name is Josh, and I make videos exploring people's stories in depth. So if this video resonated with you, leave a comment and hit subscribe. And let's begin.
In architecture, after graduating from university, you normally have to take 3,840 hours, which is roughly equivalent to 2 years of internship, apprenticeship, before you're eligible to take the board exams. So most of my peers, after graduation, automatically went into apprenticeship. I, on the other hand, pursued my photography. So to be quite honest, there was a point in time when I asked myself if I still wanted to pursue architecture, because at that point, fortunately, winning photography contests, traveling internationally for free because of those contests, having a lot of big name clients, it puts you in a unique position at a very young age. So I was asking myself, do I want to be back to being an apprentice? Actually, what's quite funny is it's through photography that I realized I wanted to design. So because of my background, studying architecture, a lot of architects would hire me to shoot their projects. So every time I see a house, I ask myself, would I be content just shooting other people's design? Knowing that I learned architecture, that I could design for myself. That's when I realized I also love design itself as much as I love photography. And it would be such a waste if I am not able to tap into that passion as well. So that's when I decided to pause photography for a bit and shift full-time into architecture. So what I did in order to handle both is I was able to have systems in place. I have photography partners who could do the shoots when I'm not there. And if it could be scheduled at night after work, I would go straight to shoots and then edit the photos up to early morning, then the next day back to the office. It was difficult, but it was fulfilling at the same time, especially when you're younger, you have lots of energy. You're trained how to manage your time well. Essentially, you're handling two businesses. Actually, at that point, I was also a working student before. I did a lot of photography jobs while also still being a student. So, as I said earlier, what you learn in university actually also defines what you can do after. So, with that framework in mind, I was able to translate that from studying to working and doing photography after class, doing photography after work. So I was able to manage both. Of course, as you asked earlier, it was difficult watching all my peers get their licenses ahead while at that time I was still doing photography. You feel you get left behind. Then you start to question if you still want to do that, or are you too far behind that you don't want to pursue it anymore. That, I think, was the biggest challenge of deviating from the quote-unquote normal path. So I deviated by doing photography as a career, but at the same time I deviated from the path I've done for architecture.
You worked apprenticeship for 2 years, you passed photography, and on top of that, you still have to review for the board exams. So how did you manage that? And what tips do you have for board takers who want to achieve similar results as you?
Yeah, it was quite challenging because I would be working from Monday to Friday, and then after office hours, I would be doing my photography shoots. But I reserved Saturday and Sunday for the review class. So most of the time, I would be falling asleep during class because I would be shooting late the night before. So the challenge was for review is because I had no classmates who were taking the boards the same time as I did because I was a bit delayed.
Yeah.
Which normally, if you have friends with you, you would compare. Hey, I'm chapter 10. What chapter are you? Chapter 2. Okay, I'm I'm going ahead, so I can slow down a bit. So for me, I had no reference because I wasn't studying with anybody. I was just studying by myself. So that allowed me to just keep reviewing without any benchmark. I think that was one advantage. Even if I was not able to review with friends, I had my friends who already were architects. So they took the exams 2 years before that. So they were able to share with me their experiences, what they had a difficult time with, what were their notes, what were their strategies. So I was fortunate to be able to talk to a friend of mine who is also a top-notcher. So I called him up. I told him, hey, it's 2 months before the exams, and I don't feel nervous about it yet. So I think there's something wrong with me. Can we meet up? So he gave me some strategies that I was able to do for the review itself. But one thing I learned very well is about how to compute for your scores during the exam. So what I did, I got the average of the past 3 years of board exam takers, their top 10. So if I'm able to score equal or to above that, then I have a good chance of getting in the top 10. You kind of know, but you never really know. I always had that feeling or that fear that I was not going to pass. But later on, fortunately, when they brought out the results, I turned out to be top 1, which is a surprise to me and to everybody else. Because in college, I was really more of a photographer than an architect. Nobody expected me to do well in the exams.
From deferring the board exams for 2 years to getting the top spot in the board exam, it's a surreal journey to say the least. You don't see that very often.
Yeah.
Now looking back at those moments, what would you say are the biggest challenges you faced along the way?
You really can end up doing anything if you think about it. In high school, you, as you said earlier, you go to school at what time, you get home at what time. Then you go to university, then you realize you have so much freedom to do whatever you want. And then once you graduate, you realize you can really absolutely do everything or anything you want, which is different ways to look at it. How do you take that freedom? For me, I took it as a challenge to pursue something I love doing, to be able to challenge myself every step of the way. And it's that same passion, that same fervor that I applied to architecture as well, doing the board exams. I'm very fortunate that I was able to score very well on both sides. I became an architect in 2018, and then in 2023, I established my own architecture and design firm with my mentor and business partner. So again, it's in similar ways. You are trying to achieve different things in different aspects. So becoming a top-notcher architect and establishing your own firm, I think, are quite different in different ways. In one instance, it's establishing a business. It comes with everything involved in that, something you have to learn on the fly while managing architecture, while still doing photography on the side. But learning through photography how to run that business allowed me to learn also how to run an architecture business.
So you said you're running your own business. At the same time, you're also a professional in itself. When you graduate university, there are two kind of paths you can go. One is the corporate life. Second is the entrepreneurship life. So hearing from our conversation, I would say you're a mix of both. Why do you think it's possible to manage an entrepreneurial life and a professional life? And do you think it should be more common in this day and age?
Well, good question. My first career was as a photographer. So that's essentially as an entrepreneur. You're on your own, you have to market, you have to build your skill set, build your capital goods, your cameras. You're able to convert those skills into something that people would pay for. But after that, I did go corporate for 7 years. From 2016 until 2023, I was in corporate working in a firm. So the nice thing is I was able to have a taste of both. Essentially, when I was in the office, I already thought as an entrepreneur. Why are these policies in place? Why do you run your office like this? Why do you restrict expenses through that? So instead of going through the motions. I was already processing why things are being done. The thing with architecture is it is a profession, meaning you have to understand architecture, you have to understand materials, technology, computations, this and that. So if you are just strictly a manager, you understand the management side, but you don't understand the technical side. That would put you in some difficult situation because you are managing professionals. But as they say, if you start from the ground up, I started as a draftsman all the way to junior architect, project architect. So I went through every step of the way. I understood the difficulties that you would face on site and in the office and doing your responsibilities. So in a way, that is what allowed me to be a better entrepreneur also, because you would understand every single thing from start to finish. The best thing is that, let's say one of your employees is not able to come in because they got sick or this and that, you are able to fill in whatever it needs to be because you're a professional yourself. So I see it as a challenge, running a profession like a business, being an entrepreneur and a professional as well. I think it's very complementary because what enables professionals to do their job is the business side. So also what makes a business run are the professionals. So seeing two different things from, again, as a photographer, you learn to see things from different perspectives. So essentially that's what I'm doing now. I see things as a professional, as an architect. I see things as an entrepreneur, a business owner. I see things as a photographer. Through these different opportunities, you're given a unique look on how things are. For example, as a photographer, you talk to some of your clients, you ask them, oh, how was this design? What do you appreciate about it? What are some pain points that you could fix if you could go back? Or moving on to the next project, what could make it better? So you take all of those information, those access, and when you run your own firm, you make sure that, hey, I remembered speaking to this client, this is what they appreciated, let's put that in. This thing doesn't work, let's take it out. So I think it's really a blend of everything you do.
There are many different paths you can go after university, as you said. It's really up to you on how you want to spend the rest of your life, especially if you're not living your life in a structured way. So what would be your advice to someone who is picking their path, be it a professional or an entrepreneur?
I think what I would advise everybody is you're really free to choose your own path, but you're also free to garner the consequences of whatever you decide on. I guess the easiest way is to just choose one path and follow it because that is what is set out in all the books. I mean, all the career talks and such as that. But if you take up that path, you eventually know where you're going to end up. That's what's so fascinating about entrepreneurship because you start with one thing, you never know where you end up. Like if I were to give you an advice to get engineering, you take it up knowing engineering inside and out as a professional. But in the same way, at the back of your mind, you're always thinking to yourself, how can I use this skill set into establishing something more? Aside from doing architecture and design, we're also pursuing a business in furniture design and creation because it is in a way horizontal. It's a symbiotic relationship. My clients for architecture can also be or are my clients for photography. My clients for photography, I can convert them to clients for architecture. And by doing furniture design, I'm also able to convert them into my clients for furniture design, and so on and so forth. So one thing that I was very fortunate to be able to tap into is the wisdom of mentors. Earlier on, I see people I admire for what they do, whether it's in business, in photography, in architecture. So what I would do, my advice is you get a mentor, a great mentor for each of the fields you are into, whether it's passion, whether it's business, whether it's entrepreneurship, and you learn steadily from them. They would be able to give you great advice on how they are able to grow, but it's up to you how to combine those advice and form something unique to yourself.
How about if you're starting by yourself without a mentor? Do you think it's still possible to succeed?
In photography, I started out on my own. I really didn't have a mentor who taught me how to run a photography business. But I guess my passion for photography allowed me to excel in that skill. But excelling in a skill is not enough. You're supposed to be able to handle the business side of it,
Yeah.
which my exposure to the family business helped me a lot.
Right.
And in turn, this whole framework that I was able to create by running my own photography business allowed me to help me establish this architecture business. And in turn, this architecture business can help me run another type of business. So I see that every experience you have, you're able to attain different skill points from different sides. Skills from the profession itself, skill from marketing, from networking, from different attributes. And it's really up to you how you combine these skill sets into something more. So if you don't have a mentor, yes, you still can. You can hear much more stories of these people being able to succeed beyond the norm and taking their own path, deciding for themselves what they want to do.
To wrap things up, what do you hope people can take away from your story?
I really do hope that more people can do their passion, can tap into what they love doing and transform it to a sustainable business that you're able to do. Because at the end of the day, what matters really is that you are able to live a life that you are happy with. Everybody has their own definition of success. Some define it by wealth, some by the car you drive, some by the hours you spend doing the things you love. So whatever defines your term of success, you have to be able to work towards that direction. I think one of the things I always think to myself, my fear is at the end of my life, I realize that whatever I did is not actually what I wanted. And so you spend a whole lifetime chasing something that you never really wanted. So earlier on, if you realize what you love and how much you value it, then you can actually structure your whole life around that.
Wow. Yeah.
So what your definition of success is different from his, different from the next one. So what I would say is what I'm doing it because I love doing it. I also love the challenge of entrepreneurship, running a business. So learn what makes you happy and start delving into it. It doesn't mean if you, let's say I love photography, I tried doing it. It doesn't mean you're fully committed yet. You can try different things first and see which one works. Make sure that it's scalable, make sure that there's a market for it. And then that's when you can start going fully. When I did photography, it never started out like, hey, from today forward, my main profession is photography. I will not earn from anything else, just this. So it was something that happened gradually. Friends started hiring me, relatives started getting me, and then the word spread. So before I knew it, I was actually doing it on sort of daily basis. From something I did at least once a month, I started doing more regularly. So when pursuing your passion, it doesn't have to be a plunge right away. It's something that you can ease into and then realize and try to compute for yourself. Is it something that's sustainable? If it is, then it's good. If it's not, find a way to make it sustainable. And if not, at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with pursuing a more defined path and reserving weekends or certain time for your hobbies. But what more fun it could bring into your life if you're able to combine both.
For sure. At the end of the day, we can choose the kind of life that we want to live, and we just need to have certain skill sets and values to live out that kind of life. So thank you so much for sharing your story. I truly learned a lot from hearing you speak. I appreciate your time.
Right. Thanks for having me.
You'll be really lucky if you watch the next video, but the problem is, you'll be gone in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.